Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now polarization in monoatomic gases. Let us consider a constituent atom of a dielectric material. We are considering one atom of a dielectric material. Let the atomic radius is small a. We are considering a constituent atom of a dielectric material and the atomic radius we are considering as small a and atomic number is Z of that atom. Now the positive nucleus is plus Zd, that is the charge of the nucleus, Z into E, Z is the atomic number, plus Z into E. It is surrounded by an electron cloud of charge minus Zd. So plus Zd is the charge of nucleus and the electron cloud has charge minus Zd. When the atom is placed in an external electric field, the nucleus When the atom is placed in an external electric field, the nucleus and the electrons moves in the opposite direction. Nucleus and the electrons move in the opposite direction. Now the Lorentz force acting. What is the Lorentz force? That is Q into E. So F E took equal to Q into E, and what is the charge Q here? It is ZE into E. So this is the Lorentz force acting. Now this is balanced by the Coulomb force. Lorentz force is balanced by the Coulomb force, and the equilibrium is established when the nucleus is shifted slightly relative to the center of electron cloud by a distance t. You know, when an atom is placed in an electric field, then what happens? Positively charged nucleus moves in the direction of the field, and negatively charged electron cloud moves in opposite direction of the field. Now that is written here. This is balanced by the Coulomb force. That means that this Lorentz force is balanced by the Coulomb force, and the equilibrium is established when the nucleus shifted slightly relative to the center of the electron cloud by a distance small d. Now we know Coulomb force, it is Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. Now here we are writing that equal to, this is the total Coulomb force, and this is the Lorentz force. Now here that is Q1 QZE by 4 pi epsilon 0 d square, and this is for electron cloud. So this is for the electron cloud. Now here this is Q1, this is Q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. That r, what we have written here, that is Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon 0 r square, that is written as d. So this Q1, this is whole is Q2, and this is 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. Now z square e square divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube into small d equal to ze into e. So from here we have calculated the value of d, that is the shifting, that is displacement. This is the displacement d, and it is proportional to e. So small d is proportional to e. Now you know what will be the dipole moment induced in that atom. That is the dipole moment induced in that atom. It is given by mu equal to q into p. The dipole moment induced in the atom, it is given by mu equal to q into d. So what is the value of q? That is equal to ze into small d. So we have given this value of d here. We have given the value of d here, 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube e by zd. That is the value of d into zd. So here what we are writing, alpha e, that is polarizability due to electronic polarizability. Alpha e means the electronic polarizability, alpha suffix e. That is equal to 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube. We are considering here 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube equal to your alpha e. Then this ZD and ZD cancels. So 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube into E and 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube we are writing as alpha E. Because mu is proportional to E, so this we can write this as mu. We can write mu is proportional to E and alpha equal to some constant, and that is called here electronic polarizability. So alpha E is depending on a to the power cube. So alpha E is depending on a cube. Also very important here, that the electronic polarizability is proportional to the volume of the atom. So the electronic polarizability, it is proportional to the volume of the atom, and it is independent of temperature. As the expression of alpha, you are proving that alpha equal to 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube. So this is the volume, a cube is the volume of the atom. So we can prove, we can say that electronic polarizability is proportional to the volume of the atom, and it is independent of temperature. And here this expression, P equal to n mu. P equal to n mu. Last day, yesterday I discussed P equal to n into mu. And this is this expression, and alpha equal to epsilon 0 epsilon r minus 1 by n. That expression is very, very important. This is another expression of alpha E, electronic polarizability in terms of dielectric constant. And this is the expression of alpha E relative to the volume of the atom. So you have to remember this, and this also may be given in MCQ, because in exam probably you will get MCQ and short answer type question, and that will be probably online examination for your semester. I can't say properly now, but you will prepare for that. So maybe given multiple MCQ questions, and here alpha E for that short type questions. Short, and if it is given, prove that alpha E equal to this, may be given, or prove the relation between alpha E and the dielectric constant. That is polarizability, electronic polarizability and dielectric constant. So you have to prove this equation. So very short type equation, that is, this question is short type question. So may be given. So the may be given is a MCQ that prove that the electronic polarizability is proportional to the volume. Electronic polarizability is proportional to which? Proportional to or inversely proportional to the volume of the atom. This type of four options are given. You have to choose any one of that. So remember these two equations, 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube and this one. This one is especially very important. Epsilon 0 epsilon r minus 1 by n. This term. Now, this is the end of the dielectrics. Now, electromagnetic field theory. Actually, Maxwell's equation that is in your syllabus. So, so before that, you have to know some equations. That is Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Do you know all these things? I'm just repeating again. That is Faraday's law. There are two laws of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So the first law, whenever there is a change in the number of magnetic lines of force passing through a closed coil, and EMF is induced in that closed coil. This is the first law. Second law is what? The magnitude of the induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of the magnetic lines of force through the coil. The second law. So, hey, all of you mute your microphone. I'm getting noise here. Now, these are the two laws of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Now, if phi 1 be the number of magnetic lines of force passing through a closed coil at any instant, and phi 2 be after a time t. So phi 1 and phi 2, that is the number of lines of forces passing through a closed coil. Phi 1 is the number of magnetic lines of forces passing through a closed coil at any instant, and phi 2 be after a time small t. Then we can write this, that is phi 1 minus phi 2, that is the change of lines of force with time. So E is Faraday's second law. From the Faraday's second law, induced EMF is proportional to phi 2 minus phi 1 by t. So mod of E, that is proportional to d phi by dt. Phi 2 minus phi 1, that is change of phi. So actually, if we can also write that is induced EMF, it is proportional to d phi by, that is equal to, we can write d phi by dt, and it is minus. It is minus. So here come. This is very important. The integral and differential form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Integral form and the differential form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Mod value is proportional to d phi by dt, but actually it is opposite in direction. The direction of the induced EMF is such that it opposes the cause that produces it. That is Lenge's law. So the direction of the induced EMF will be always opposite to the rate of change of magnetic flux. This is the rate of change of magnetic flux, and the direction of the induced EMF E, that will be just opposite direction. So the minus sign is given here. As here we have taken the mod value, so we are writing like this, but they are both opposite to each other. Rate of change of magnetic flux, rate of change of magnetic flux, that is the direction of the induced EMF will be always opposite to the rate of change of magnetic flux. So these are the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Now here, in terms of differential and integral form, you have to know. This is very important. Integral, actually, from here, from this portions, you will get the Maxwell's equations. You will get Maxwell's equation from this portion. So from Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, we know E equal to minus d phi by dt. E is the induced EMF and phi is the magnetic flux through a closed coil. Now, magnetic flux through a closed circuit bounding a surface S can be written as phi equal to B dot ds. Surface integration, this is the surface integration B dot ds. So this is our equation 1, this is our equation 2. And B is the magnetic flux density. B is the magnetic flux density. Now, if E is the electric field induced in space, then the induced EMF around the closed curve C, also it can be written as this. E equal to, here, line integration, closed line integration, E dot dl. This is equation number 3. So, now we have phi equal to B dot ds, surface integration. Here we have E equal to minus d phi by dt. And here we have the third equation, E equal to line integration E dot dl. This is third equation. Now what we are doing, we are equating this to E. So equation 3 and equation 2. Actually this is E dot dl minus ddt. Oh, okay. Here now we are, what we are doing, that is E, and in equation 3 it is E, and in equation 1 it is also E. So both are equal. We can equal equation 1 and equation 3. So we are writing E dot dl line integration, this one equal to what? Minus ddt of surface integration B dot ds. So here put the value of phi. Phi is given by this. Phi is given by surface integration B dot ds. We are putting it here. And in place of E, we are writing line integration E dot dl. So line integration E dot dl around this closed curve equal to what? Minus ddt of phi, and phi value is written in this way. So ultimately what we are getting line integration E dot dl equal to minus ddt of surface integration B dot ds. So ultimately what we are getting, just write is del V by del T dot ds in this way. Here we use the partial derivative of B. The partial derivative of B is used because B is a joint function of position and time. As B is a joint function of position and time, so we are writing partial derivative of B. So we are writing the del V by del T. This is the integral form of Faraday's law. This is the integral form of Faraday's law, that is line integration E dot dl equal to minus del V by del T, surface integration S dot ds. So this is the integral form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Now we have to prove the differential form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So we are applying Stokes theorem. So for using Stokes theorem, what we can do, using Stokes theorem, we are applying Stokes theorem to equation 4, and we are writing this portion, line integration is changing to surface integration. We are changing line integration to surface integration. Now E dot dl, it is written as curl of E dot ds. Actually this one, this left hand portion is equal to the left hand portion of this equation. So E dot dl line integration here equal to surface integration curl of E dot ds. This is the Stokes law. And the left hand side as remains as it is, minus del V by del T dot ds. So this portion is unchanged and it is written here. But this portion, left hand side, E dot dl, this portion, it is changing to curl of E dot ds from line to surface. Now change the side, curl of E plus put the right hand side to left, then curl of E plus del B by del T dot ds equal to 0. Surface integration. Since the equation is true for any arbitrary surface, as this equation is true for any arbitrary surface, so we know from here we can write curl of E plus del B by del T equal to 0. So curl of E equal to minus del B by del T. So this is the Faraday's law, or Faraday's law, differential form of Faraday's law. So there are two forms, integral form of Faraday's law and the differential form of Faraday's law. Here it is differential form of Faraday's law. You have to remember this, curl of E equal to minus del B by del T. Curl of equal to minus del B by del T. And what is the integral form of Faraday's law? Line integration E dot dl equal to minus surface integration of del B by del T dot ds. If you can put here double integration, as I have written here S, that means it is surface integration. So no need to put double integration sign. You can also put double integration. S written means S is written means it is surface integration. So must, it is assumed to be that there is double integration. So here I have given two surface integrations. If you don't give, and if you give only one, and here writing surfaces, then they're also okay. So what is the differential form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? Curl of E equal to minus del B by del T, and the integral form is E dot dl equal to minus integration, surface integration of del B by del T into ds. So both the laws are very important because these are one of the Maxwell's laws, Maxwell equation. So I will come later. Now here you can prove taking divergence. If you curl of E equal was del B by del T, curl of E equal to minus del B by del T. If you divergence, take divergence on both sides. So divergence of curl of E. So this is curl of E. We are taking divergence of curl of E equal to what? Minus del T of divergence of B. Del T of divergence of B. Now here, as the divergence of all curl is 0, the divergence of curl, this is curl of E. So curl के ऊपर divergence of curl of E. As the divergence of all curl equal to 0, so it is only possible. So this portion is 0, so it is only possible divergence of B equal to 0. So from there we can prove B is solenoidal in nature. Divergence less quantity. Magnetic field is divergence less quantity. Now, displacement current. What is displacement current? Last day I was discussing D equal to epsilon 0 E. That is electric displacement vector is given by epsilon 0 into electric field. That I am now explaining. Displacement current. The displacement current is different from the conduction current. The conduction current and displacement current is different. It is different in the sense that the displacement current exists only when the electric field varies with time. So when displacement current arises only when electric field varies with time. So displacement current arises only for time varying electric field. This is also given in MCQ question. When displacement current arises due to time varying magnetic field, time varying electric field and magnetic field, time varying electric field. In this way, different type of options will be given. It is given frequently this question. When displacement current arises, it arises only for the time varying electric field, where electric field varies with time. Now for a steady electric field, in a conducting wire, the displacement current is 0. But if the electric field is steady in a conducting wire, there is no displacement current. All the current is only the conduction current. Now, the current arising due to that, what is the definition of the displacement current? The current arising due to the time varying electric field between the plates of a capacitor is known as the displacement current. The current arising due to the time varying electric field between the plates of a capacitor is known as the displacement current. Now let's see the figure. This is the figure. This is the figure. In figure, it is shown the charging of a capacitor. The charging of a capacitor. Here you can see this is the capacitor. This is one plate and this is another plate. The plates are separated by distance small d. A is the area of the plate. And this is the current direction is shown here. I means current and C means conduction current. The current that you generally it flowing through a circuit, that is conduction current. The current that is usually you are familiar with, that is conduction current. Now a circuit beside is connected to a time varying voltage source V. You can see here there is a voltage source, that is time varying voltage source. This voltage source is connected to a capacitor C. Now this time varying voltage source, it is connected to a capacitor C. So this is the charging of a capacitor. The current through the capacitor is called the displacement current. Now the current, here you are applying time varying voltage source to a capacitor. The capacitor is charging. Now the current through the capacitor is known as displacement current. Only the current inside the capacitor, through the capacitor, that is the displacement current. Now we will find out the expression. When a voltage is applied to a capacitor, and I current flows through it, the current through it, it is given by I equal to dq by dt. Then Q equal to C into V, you know the relation C into V. Now you are writing that C into dV by dt. So I equal to C into dV by dt, this is the first equation. Now Q is the instantaneous charge equal to CV. Again we know that from the parallel plate capacitor, the capacitance C equal to epsilon 0 A by D, where A is the area of the parallel plate and D is the separation between the two plates, and epsilon 0 is the free space permittivity. Now this equation also we know. Now I equal to what? Come to equation number 1. We are replacing C by epsilon 0 A by D. So initially what was equation 1? So it is C into dV dt. So the value of C we are replacing here now. So value of C we are replacing here. That is epsilon 0 E by D. That is the value of C into dV by dt. So this is equation 3. Again we know E equal to V by D. Again we know E equal to V by D. Now equation 3 we can write epsilon 0 A by D into dV by dt. Now here dV by dt, coming to go to equation number 3, I equal to epsilon 0 A by D into dV by dt. Now this V value is replaced from here, V equal to E into D. We have replaced the value of V in equation 3 with respect to D. We have that means we have replaced the value of V in terms of E. So V equal to capital V equal to E into small d. So we have given here ddt of E into small d. So small d is constant, so putting it outside, and it is d by dt. So this is. Now this dd cancels, and what remains? I equal to epsilon 0 A into d by dt. Now what is I by A? I, and A is the area of the capacitor plate. So I by A, current per unit area. Now it is epsilon 0 dE by dt. Now epsilon 0 and this E. Here one is epsilon 0 and here it is E. So this epsilon 0 E, putting it inside, and this is D. This D is epsilon 0 into E. Partially it is written del D by del T. This is del D by del T. So I by A, actually D equal to epsilon 0 E. This is electric displacement. This is called electric displacement. And I by A gives the current density JD. So current density, it is defined as I by A, current density. So I by A, and this is called JD. JD equal to what? Del D by del T. And what is electric displacement? Capital D equal to epsilon 0 E. It is the electric displacement. So remember this again. So here D equal to epsilon 0 E. D equal to epsilon 0 E, that is the electric displacement. And I by A gives the current density JD. So JD expression is given by, this is del D by del T. Now this JD is called the displacement current density. JD is called the displacement current density, and that is equal to del D by del T. This is very important, so understand it very carefully. The displacement current del D by del T is 0 outside the plate of the capacitor, but it has a definite value between the plates. This value is exactly equal to the value of conduction current outside the plates. So come to the figure here. What is given? The displacement current density JD that exists what? Inside the capacitor plate, outside the plate, that is displacement current arises only between the plates of the capacitor. I is the displacement current there, and I by A, that is the displacement current density. Now the displacement current, that is density, it is maximum inside the plate of the capacitor, and outside the plate of the capacitor the displacement current is 0. So the total current in that circuit, total current is what? IC, that is I conduction current, plus ID, that is I displacement current. Here outside the plate of capacitor, displacement current 0, so IC is the total current acting. Now here inside the plate of capacitor, conduction current does not exist. Inside the plate of the capacitor there is no conduction current, and all the current is displacement current. So here we are getting displacement current density. So here we are getting the displacement current density. So as a whole, IC plus ID equal to constant. But when IC is maximum, then ID is 0. And if ID is maximum, IC is 0. So inside the capacitor place, all the current is displacement current. So there is no existence of conduction current. But outside the plate of the capacitor in the circuit, all the current is conduction current, and their displacement current is 0. Now on the screen, modified Ampere's circuitous law. Do you all know Ampere's circuitous law? Curl of B equal to mu 0 J. Do you know all? Probably don't know. Is it?
Yes, ma'am, we don't know.
You don't know. Ampere's circuitous law. Okay, then I'm not discussing it today. Ampere's circuitous law. So this is modified Ampere's circuitous law. We are proving, and this related to Maxwell equation. Actually, Maxwell added another term to Ampere's circuitous law and ensured that it is valid for a time varying field. Actually, I'm just coming to the topic. Here, see, Maxwell first equation, second equation, third equation is there. That is curl of E equal to rho by epsilon 0. This is the Gauss law, actually. Actually, what is the problem in your syllabus? Electrostatics is not there. Initially, it was there, and this is the differential form of Gauss law. And this is the first Maxwell equation. There are two types Maxwell equation. Differential form of Maxwell equation in differential form and Maxwell equation in integral form. So the first equation here, differential, this is the Gauss law. Now why I am discussing all these laws, then it will be clear for you. Maxwell second equation, that is divergence of B equal to 0. That is the Gauss law in magnetostatics. Maxwell third equation, curl of equal to minus del B by del T. Which is this law say? Just I have discussed. This is Maxwell third equation. Which law is this?
Faraday, ma'am.
Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. That is the differential form. Differential form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. At the starting of my class today, what I discussed, integral form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. And then from there, we have the differential form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So this is Maxwell third equation. So before coming to the Maxwell, so that you have to know these laws. So for that reason I'm discussing. Then that is the fourth equation is not given here, Maxwell fourth equation, and this is the modified Ampere's circuitous law. That is the Maxwell fourth equation. So we have to know this equation well before the writing the Maxwell's equation in differential form and integral form. So today what I have discussed, we have discussed Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So we have the first third law of Maxwell equation in differential form, and here this form divergence of B I will discuss in very brief because magnetostatics is not in your syllabus properly. So this is so in short, in my next class I will discuss these relations, and we will prove Ampere's circuital law, and we will also prove modified Ampere's circuital law and modified by Maxwell. And this is the modified Ampere's circuital law. This is the Maxwell fourth equation. So here that is proof, no? Maxwell added another term to Ampere's law and ensured for a time varying electric field. This is the proof. And here ultimately what you are getting, this one, curl of E by B, curl of B equal to mu 0 J by del D by del T. This is the Maxwell fourth equation. This is the Maxwell fourth equation. Actually we will prove the next day. This is the Maxwell fourth equation in terms of modified Ampere's circuital law. And then Gauss law I also discuss. I will also discuss in very brief. Then divergence of B, that I will also discuss in very brief. Then that means we will prove all these equations. Then it is only written what type of question is given. Write down the Maxwell's equation in differential form and write down the significance of that. And also write down the Maxwell equation in integral form and write down the significance of this. In this way it is given. So next day I will discuss. So tomorrow I am not taking the class. I will take the class. Tomorrow is Thursday, na?
Thursday.
So Friday I will take the class. Okay. Friday, are you free from 12?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then Friday I will take the class from 12, and tomorrow not taking the class. So whatever I have discussed, just prepare all these things. And here the idea of displacement current, what are the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Before Friday, that means I am trying to give you the notes in WhatsApp. So go through that, and again I will discuss all these things on Friday 12 noon. Okay. Hello students.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, in next week Wednesday I'm trying to arrange one webinar. So you will be informed before that in mental health condition of the students during the lockdown period in COVID-19 situation. So Associate Professor of Rajasthan University, she will give an lecture in webinar. So I will inform the date and time. It will be given in a Facebook page, or I will inform you all. So join in that webinar on next Wednesday. Okay, so I will inform before that what will be the timing. So both the batches of EC will participate probably. So I will inform it later. Friday, I will inform about that. Okay, then students, today after this, have you any problem in reading all these things? Are you not understanding anything, this type of problem arising? Are you all reading? Are you all listening what I am saying?
Yes, ma'am.
You are doing the classes, then okay, you are doing. But are you reading letter? I'm giving you the notes. I'm also sharing it in YouTube so that you can, who are absent, they can hear, they can understand. So if you are thinking that there will be no exam, that is not. Exam will be there. What will be the pattern of the exam, that will be decided later. So basically, my suggestion is that the MCQ type questions and short answer type questions will be given. If MCQ is given, then what? They say one problem is given in StatMath. 4 options are given. What is the total number of macrostate and microstate? Ultimately, you have to calculate and you have to just take. So for that, you have to read all these things. MCQ means you have to, that is not. Answers will be given. You will calculate in rough page and you will submit. You have to choose one correct answer. So you have to read the whole syllabus. So be cautious that don't think that there is no exam. Okay. So read whatever I am saying. The notes are given.